Greetings and welcome to the energy of Leo. This is Ron from Tarot of the Twin Sun. Tarot of the Twin Sun is a Tarot of the Twin Sun is a functional division within the Order of the Twin Sun. Please take only what you will. This is going to be an interesting reading in which we conjure up the 5th and the 11th fixed fire, fixed air houses, and we formulate essentially through the Great Mirror an interesting look into the karma that exists between Leo and a significant other. We'll also be opening up with a bit of a karmic reading with an approach to an incident in the month of January 2023. For the energy of Leo, please take only what you will. Okay, interesting. For January, there seems to be a lot of karmic processing, okay? Dealing with certain revolutions of the mind, trying to come to a sense of peace. In fact, that has been found. There is a sense that something hidden has been understood, and a process here is very strongly indicated in the month of January. This is the processing of pain, of also trying to figure out what exactly, it's sort of a backtracking, why exactly you're taken away from a sense of peace or a sense of sort of equilibrium with your mind, with the way you have approached that in the past. There was a sort of detached period, and now you're coming into heads with things, trying to understand and create the right and proper boundaries with others, being the primary sort of thing. What's on the crown? This has to do with the lost path, trying to understand where you have been perceived in such a way by your peers, by those who see you, essentially. There seems to be some sort of striving off the path, trying to do something different, trying to figure out what is truly authentic. And deep down below, essentially, there's almost a detached quality to things, in which you are heightened, your mind, your intellect is heightened, and it's colored to such a degree where it becomes very sharp, and it becomes very fixed on trying to address what it is that has been causing the sense of losing something, missing something, especially when it comes to approaching the future, being more determined and finding the Ace of Rods within that sequence, trying to find out how to essentially preserve your sense of peace or your sense of right doing, preserve your own path. But this has to do with separating from others, okay, big time in terms of that. I think you may find that you will find a sense of stability if you can clear your mind, clear your thoughts, and you will become empowered through this process. What crosses the karma? Some form of separation, sequence of regret when it comes to especially trying to understand this feeling of emptiness when it comes to emotional transference, or trying to play the dynamic when it comes to giving things to others or receiving from others. I think there's a sequence here that leads to the 7 of Rods and essentially the King of Swords after that. Leads to a way to actually cut through the nonsense by not being affected by others, by raising a sense of responsibility, by creating boundaries with others. It's very interesting, this whole karma. There must be an incident tied to this, though. I need to figure out what that is. The 6 of Rods is very, very strong in this reading, so we're going to go ahead and look into that card in particular, the 6. And it's the 6 of Rods in the reverse. Okay, so this has to do with making a choice by not making a choice. Being in between two different paths, being in a crisis mode, but not being able to do much about it. There is a changing of hands. It's as if you've lost your motivation. You've lost your horse when it comes to portrayals of love, dimensions of expectation, trying to get through all of that and come into a sense of clarity. This incident involves the process of patience, trying to also see what truly fulfills you, especially in a past sense. Coming to a point of stillness, okay? This has to do essentially with the path, okay? As I've mentioned. I think people have been extremely judgmental on Leo for a while, practicing a way of criticism, seeing them and seeing Leo for not walking the path that they're supposed to be on, in quotations. Blah, blah, blah. I think ultimately, though, what happens is a sense that you have to slow down and essentially find the temperance to get to where you're going. And rely on the auspices of Jupiter primarily. Jupiter will be your blessing in this. This has to do also with the nature of what fulfills you, trying to understand why two different parts of an argument can conflict quite naturally and then put you at a point of stillness or stagnation, one or the other. When it comes to walking a certain path, people have been criticizing with the way you have adopted a sense of this slowness, okay? And it's given you, it's humbled you in such a way that you're not moving so fast, but it's also creating a very strong resonant energy with Jupiter. It's going to make you more lucky. It's going to give you or grant you something if temperance is granted. This also has to do with the transmutation of the Two of Cups energy. With temperance, you can actually alchemize what you're working with in terms of expectation with others and expectation of yourself and how you produce certain effects with your own emotional reserve. There's an ability to balance those out, okay? The past and the future tenses. You can actually take this cup of expectation, this thing that you place a great deal of expectation in, and actually convert that, change that into something else, okay? It's not as if you're changing the actual container of that dream, but you're changing the content, the content of that, how it is balanced, how it is measured, and balancing that out with the auspices of Jupiter. This is what I see for the month of January, essentially. And the Two of Swords also points to really just being still, trying to figure out what's right and wrong, and this process taking forever. Because the Three of Swords did show up in the pre-read, there's a possibility that you may be overthinking things, try to do things more emotively, and then convert those emotions into energies that would be conducive to an expansive Jupiter, okay? That is what I'm seeing in terms of an incident. Now we're moving towards the Great Mirror part of this reading. And the Great Mirror is a tool devised by the Order to see apparent karmas between Leo and a significant other. The significant other can be a person, place, or thing. We'll go ahead and get started with that part of the reading. Okay, so the way this person sees you is interesting. There is a sense here that you are getting rid of a connection that you always have been, that has become very imbalanced, or it has this feeling of being quite imbalanced. it will set you into power. This person is something of your equal, but at the same time, there's a mystery that draws them to you. They can't explain this mystery, but it's constantly sort of bringing back a sense of faith or a sense of possibly foolishness towards you. I think that you are here to be logical about this connection, and it will serve, this type of connection will serve to set you on a path of truth and also of well-doing in terms of your truth. There's a possibility that this type of connection also, it's conducive of the butterfly in the stomach effect. There's a lot of interesting things when it comes to the idea of empowerment, okay? The idea that things can be brought to a sense of equal measure on both sides of the relationship, if you want to call it that. I think that with the the Seven of Pentacles in the reverse, there's a sense that something is owed, something is owed, something is owed. There's a need to check and balance out the situation. And even if you were to offer something in terms of this connection, I think there's a lot of polarity in terms of the repulsive aspect of this. There's a lot of pushing away that goes on with this type of connection. And it's because of the grounding that is needed. There needs to be some sort of grounding on their end and also on your end. There needs to be some sort of nurturing aspect to it. I think you're willing to turn away. The thing is that it's also going to pull them towards you as you do. And this is because of a sense that you have pulled from what has been expected and you're taking your own power back in terms of Saturn's lesson. There's a need to rebalance things, and even then it doesn't feel balanced at the end of the day. I think you become quite empowered by this connection though. How? It's obscure. There's a lot that has to do with Aryan energy, with the Sun as well as Mars. And there also is a possibility here of you bringing forward the sense of the Eight of Pentacles in the reverse, basically not working on this very much, very hard, hardly working on it. It's as if you have the sentience, the awareness of seeing this type of connection and treating it as almost like it's like a peace talk, or you're here to be a diplomat or an ambassador to this person between, you know, a warring party and another warring party. But ultimately, what comes out of it is a sense that this type of connection, it has the sense and the degree of power, but then how much is that based on expectation is the question. And also, is it real in terms of the actual connection? Why are you so attractive to this person? Why is there a sense that they have to do something? And as you guys try to put will into this situation, to exact your own will or your own desires, there's a sense of imbalance in it. There's a sense also of this heaviness, not being able to focus in on the details, the practicalities of a type of connection such as this. Three queens come out: the Queen of Rods, Queen of Pentacles, and the Queen of Cups in reverse. The major arcana are, I would say, the Magician, as well as the Fool in reverse, and the Justice card in reverse. Okay, so ultimately what I see here is an activation of the 1 and the 7 and the 3 potentially. 1, 7, 3, those are the houses that are activated. So there's a lot of, I would call it, a need to preserve the self, and then also losing oneself, losing one's own power, and negotiating in a time of difficulty, or in a time of repulsion, and then attraction to that repulsion is very weird. But at the same time, you gain a lot in terms of Saturn's lesson in this. There's something that you can pull from it and actually create a sense of imbalance in the relationship dynamics to preserve your own power, to preserve your own sense of peace more than anything. In terms of advice, the fourth queen comes out. Queen of Swords. The advice essentially is to have the sentience, the awareness to go and look at this type of situation from a distance, from an objective standpoint. At the same time, the Queen of Swords points to the riddles of the mind, and it produces, it produces the effect of any sword sequence. Okay, so that is usually the trappings of the mind, thinking about it too much. I think with the Queen of Swords, she's not applying essentially the sword towards any form of enemy. She's using truth as her crutch, or possibly as her strength, but she doesn't wield it to actually use it as a weapon, truth as a weapon. This is not necessary. Truth is known and becomes self-evident, becomes known by everyone as a universal, if it is true truth. Anyways, that is the advice. I do wish you well. Please take care. Bye-bye.